All right, in this video, I will be exploring the Arc wallet. I will download the wallet and open it up and get it to a workable state. Normally, when I go through these things, I try to do it candidly and without bias, meaning I haven't done it before, so I have to provide the following caveat that I have actually gone through this process already, and therefore will not be able to offer candid responses or feedback based on what I'm seeing. The problem with that, of course, is I now know certain things about the wallet that may have at first given me some issues in terms of me understanding what it meant or what was going on. And since then, I've learned more, and therefore will be applying that knowledge to the process. So I will do my best to explain things that I originally did not understand while going through this particular installation. I won't do too much on the actual arc.io website. I will say real quickly that they have a quick overview about what Arc is about. What you can gather from the commercial is that the Arc blockchain allows developers to build their own dApps or their own blockchains using Arc. Also, that Arc utilizes a modified delegated proof of stake consensus mechanism, which features 51 delegates. Here, delegates are tasked with running the network and are rewarded with block rewards, much like miners in Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to say right now that when I first went through this, my understanding of this was that these 51 delegates received all the rewards and were not necessarily giving those rewards out to other people that were staking or were kind of within their network. That, to be quite honest, irritated me, because in my mind, the whole purpose of proof of stake is that anybody is able to become part of that network and support the network, and therefore earn rewards for supporting that network. The Internet of Value is one in which, by participating in, you should be rewarded for doing so. And so I was like, 51 delegates and they get all the rewards. Why would I invest in Arc if I'm not going to be able to get an ROI out of that? Now, it came to my attention that, in fact, these delegates will distribute their rewards to people that are tied to them, which I did not understand at the time that I first went through this. And so, anyways, that makes me feel a little bit better about the whole situation, knowing that you can earn some kind of reward for holding Arc, because that, to me, is a big incentive for people to invest in it, to invest in any kind of cryptocurrency, or specifically a proof of stake based cryptocurrency, one where by having it you can actually earn a reward. You can think of it as like a dividend, based off of stocks. Some stocks provide dividends, and so for people who are looking at this from kind of an investment point of view, proof of stake is a great way to earn rewards based off of your investment. However, coming to this and not knowing a whole lot about Arc's delegated proof of stake consensus mechanism, there's nowhere on here does it say, oh yeah, all you have to do is attach yourself to one of these delegates and they'll give you stuff. It doesn't really tell you that. It doesn't really explain that to you as you install and set up the wallet, that was basically one of my biggest kind of negative takeaways from my first installation of this. So going forward, knowing that, I can at least kind of speak to that as we install the wallet. All right, so a wallet for everyone. They have both a desktop and a mobile wallet. It's nice that for the mobile wallet, they have it on both Android and iOS. However, today we'll just be doing the desktop wallet. So I will go ahead and click on the one for Apple here, and that should start the download. And once that finishes up, I will get going. All right. My radiator's rattling around. So something else that kind of intrigued me about the Arc wallet is that it mentions that it supports, the Ledger Nano S as a means to kind of, you can use a Ledger Nano S as a means for security. If I remember correctly, I didn't see much about how to leverage it when you set up the wallet, kind of going through that process. So I'll be on the lookout for more information this time around. All right, so let me open this bad boy up. And here we are. Okay, I'll go ahead and see if I can maximize this, which gives me kind of a cleaner screen recording. All right, so welcome to the Arc desktop wallet. Please take a few moments to read the next few screens for your own safety. Your funds could be unrecoverable if you do not pay close attention to these warnings. Now, I really like this. If you've watched videos of mine before, you'll note that I get wary of some of these new paradigms for what I'll just refer to as kind of like your logging credentials, your information that secures your stuff. Here, you're securing your wallet. People are so used to the idea of having a password and a login ID, and it's something that like, oh, I forgot my password. Let me retrieve my password, and then it sends it to you, and you get away with being an idiot. That doesn't work, in this new way of doing things. And it's good to let people know that, up front, and making sure that people understand the consequences of losing information. And so they tell you up front, as we go through this, as you'll see, make sure you write things down and not lose stuff. So hit start. There's also no way to skip through this information that I noticed in my first run through, which is it kind of forces you to go through it. So your power, the most important thing for users to know about cryptocurrencies is that they completely reverse the commonly accepted model of how finance works. In traditional finance, you give up direct control of your money to a bank. Because banks have control over your money, they can take actions on your behalf, such as refunding transactions and resetting your login info. Cryptocurrencies take that power and give it to you directly. Using nothing more than your private keys, you can control exactly when, where, and how your money is kept and spent. However, in the words of Uncle Ben Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. Kind of going back to what I was saying before, you're dealing with a different way of doing things where everything's on you, so don't fuck up. Don't lose stuff. One comment that I have about this is, though this information is great and that people need to see it, I found that this particular walkthrough had a lot of words, and people don't read stuff. They just boop, 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 click through. How many people actually read, the terms of agreement that you get when you, install something new, and different things like on your phone. People don't read that kind of stuff. They just click next. And so, when you have a lot of wordy stuff, you run the risk of people just being like boop, 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 and not actually reading and absorbing. Now, that's okay for someone who is experienced with this stuff, because okay, when I set up a wallet, what we go through is typically, you have passphrases and things like that I have to make sure that I write down, and I'm not supposed to lose it. I know the consequences. I've been through this before, but for a beginner, they don't know that. And so you run the risk of beginners going boop, 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 clicking through, not reading stuff, and not understanding the full consequences of them not writing down the appropriate information and storing it in a safe place. And so my thoughts and suggestions here, like, one, I really appreciate the fact that they call this stuff out up front. They say here, unlike your traditional banks, lost passwords, passphrases, or stolen funds cannot be restored, yada, yada, yada. It's great that they have it here. The problem is you're dealing with a lot of copy, a lot of words, and so certain things can get drowned out. Kind of like if you're driving down a road and you're trying to find an exit ramp and you're looking for the sign for it. There's all these other signs. Like, you could get preoccupied reading all the signs and miss the one that you actually need to read, or the one that's intended for you to be able to complete your task at hand. And so my suggestion here is, like, if you're going to have a lot of kind of words here, perhaps the most important things you need to make sure that are very visible and stand out against the rest. You do have these things underlined, which is great. It is some kind of, highlight or indication, but perhaps you should have a screen where it's just like very simple, like, it's on you. I mean, you say your duty, but you know, there needs to be, you know, keep it simple, stupid, I guess is what I'm getting at here. Just, if you need to convey to them, like, it's on you to remember this stuff. Don't have too much explanation. Just get to the point. Like, don't lose, you know, information. Make sure you write it down. It's on you to remember it. So here's, again, some more information explaining the importance of, you know, keeping your passphrase safe and, you know, don't share them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this up here. And now we come to the create a profile page. Enter your name or nickname and select your preferred language and default currency. So when I first went through this, like, you know, I was like, why? This is new and different. I haven't really seen this with a lot of wallets. My assumption is that this is like the first steps towards creating some kind of network, like a I don't want to say a social network, but essentially, like, you know, you can add contacts within your wallet that when you add them, you can see their profile name and their avatar and things like that. That's my assumption of why they're doing this. But I'll go ahead here and set up a profile name. And this is going to be a complete test wallet. I'm not going to leverage this wallet at all. I'm going to, you know, delete it and go back to one that I installed on my other computer. And that will allow me to not have to go back through this recording and censor out that information, which takes a long time. And also, you know, it can be kind of obnoxious as you're watching, you know, a review of your product. You know, if you're the ARC team and you're watching a review of this and all of a sudden there's all these censor bars popping up, it kind of can become distracting. Anyways, so profile name, I'll just call myself Test. Hopefully that hasn't been taken yet. My native language is English. Currency is US dollars. And choose an avatar. I'm just going to go with Dude Man here. Hit next. So here is, you choose your network and you have the ARC. If I remember correctly, yeah, you have to hover over to understand the difference between these two. The ARC mainnet and then the DevNet, I guess, can be also referred to as a testnet. Maybe those two terms are synonymous. This is one of those things that I think might confuse people who are new to this. Like, what do you mean, what network? I don't understand. Like, again, like it takes knowledge of how this stuff works to be able to infer what is going on here. My suggestion is, I have no data to back this up. I've never tested this before. I've done no, you know, thorough research on it. But my assumption is that perhaps you default with like the, we'll just call the dumb mode, which is like, it's just somebody setting up a wallet. You know, they did want to put their ARC in there and they want to be able to earn rewards. And therefore, this should be by default, in that you have to manually go and change that later on, rather than asking them to choose, because this could throw people off and they could accidentally choose the wrong thing if they are uninformed. I mean, I remember when I first got into this thing, into cryptocurrency, and I was, you know, doing a lot of reviews of other wallets and things, like especially my stake boxes over here. They're asking all these questions, like, I don't know what the fuck any of this means. You know, I'm just Joe Schmo trying to set up a wallet because I know that if I put money on it, I can earn a reward. That's my objective here. But all of this technical jargon is getting in the way of me being able to complete my task at hand. Along the way, I've learned a great deal, but I'm just saying, from my perspective, that when you get into more developer tech-heavy jargon and like something that requires a more extensive understanding of how everything works mechanically, you may want to kind of not make every user, regardless of their experience level, have to choose those things. So I'm going to go with the ARC mainnet. Sorry, I went on a tangent about that. Next. So now we get to appearance. Now, one thing that I liked about this wallet the first time I went through, and we'll get to another kind of use of this flow. I guess, you know, back in the old days we called them wizards. You know, you walk through these steps, and this is kind of what this is. You're going through these steps. The first one, set up a profile, then choosing a network, now you're choosing appearance. Is that you kind of go through them, and you have additional information provided to the left-hand side that supplements, what's going on here. So what I'm talking about is two parts. One, this stacked kind of flow profile. Next is network, and now I'm choosing the appearance. And then the other aspect of that is the supplemental information that's over here. What we will see once I get through this is in the next kind of setup when I'm adding a wallet is a similar way, but they are numbered numerically, 1, 2, 3. And I would recommend doing that again here. It's not, put in here, but having ordered steps. Okay, first you're going to set up your profile. 2, you're going to choose your network. And then 3, you're going to do your appearance. That will allow people to kind of identify that this is a kind of step-by-step thing that they need to go through. The other thing that I want to mention is that you have information here that is supportive of what's going on over here. In my previous recording, I talked about this, and I don't know if I've already talked about it yet, but I want to do it again, is this notion or this idea that it's a design principle, really, and I don't know what the true name of it is. I have to go back into some of my textbooks and remember it, but I'm going to call it the law of good proximity. And what I mean by that is, like, when you have information that needs to be used with other information, you want to keep that information close together. My background is in human factors and applied cognitive psychology. What I chalk that up to in an elevator pitch is it's a study of how people kind of think and process information while they're interacting with technology. It was something that was born out of the aviation industry back in like World War I or something like that, when they were studying how pilots looked at the dials and things within a cockpit in order to make decisions about things that they needed to do. And this seems rather common sense, but you need to put information that is used together close together, or like information close together, so that a pilot doesn't have to be like on this side of the cockpit looking for information and then coming over here looking for information, and all the while something's about to happen that they're not paying attention to because they're too busy going over here and going over there. So applying that here, as a user is going through this kind of setup process, you have this additional information on the left-hand side. I would suggest bringing this over closer, maybe having it within here. I like that it's here. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying that if I have some thoughts and suggestions on it, this is one of them. Is perhaps bringing this information closer in here so that a user, while they're going through here, can more easily grasp this additional information to help them understand what they're doing. All right, so we're at appearance here. Select the wallet theme. We got the light and we got the night view. I like the night view. We're going to go with that. Select background. I guess this one's already by default. If I choose that, it's light. I'll go back to this one. Little things here. Maybe if this had been pre-selected like it is now when I first came here, because otherwise a user could be like, oh, and then they go back to this thinking it was something different, because it hadn't been selected before. Looks like you can also choose a bunch of other things too, but I'm not going to do that. Customization is nice. I'm a person that would like to speak more to functionality over form, where it's just like getting people up and running without distractions like this is what I would focus on more here. So though this is nice, I can see it as being like, okay, let's get to the point here. All right, so done with that. All right, so now we are in the dashboard here. It shows a nice price overview of ARC day, week, and month. Looks like you have last transactions here. Over here is your escape hatch. I'm assuming by clicking on this, it will take you back to the dashboard. Let's find out. We click on wallets here. And I go back to here. Yeah, it takes you back to your dash. So nice positioning of your escape hatch. And I hover over, it says dashboard. So then you have my wallets, which we haven't added any yet. We have my contacts, which we haven't added any yet. We have latest news, which is something that I might get lost in if I spend too much time here, because I will dive into news like it's nobody's business and just keep reading. So that could be dangerous for someone like me. I guess I use it more as announcements. Okay. Settings. I'm not sure what this is here. connect to your peer, my networks. So you're getting into something a little bit more technical here where you have to choose a peer. Now, I'm assuming that this starts to get into that delegated proof of stake where you have a peer or a delegate that you're attached to. I could be wrong here. This gets into a technical side of things that I just like. It could take a couple minutes to review online and find the answers to it, but it's not intuitive to me as to what this is doing. I really would love to see in the crypto space, in terms of wallets and things, more visually driven, like diagram-based stuff, explaining things to people. Like you have something here where it's like, okay, you have this delegate that you have to connect to. Choose your delegate, right? And this is the person that you connect to that's going to allow you to get rewards. They're going to be the ones that give you part of their rewards for being connected to them. But see, this, yeah, you're gonna, if you're losing me here, you're definitely going to lose people who are less tech savvy and less understanding of how this all works. So my suggestion here is coming up with a more visually driven step-by-step process, much like you had with the setting up your profile, and we'll go through in a minute with the setup of the wallets. I really liked it. I really like how you did this, ARC team. So I would suggest having something very similar, guiding people through the selection of their peer that they need to connect to. All right, so let's go set up a wallet here. So you have the options of creating a wallet or import a wallet. I'm gonna go ahead and create a wallet here because again, I really love this whole flow that they've got going on here. So here, like I mentioned earlier, you got these steps, but at least they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like that. It gives a better indication to the user that these are specific steps that I'm going through and not more so options that I can choose from, because that, I could come be like, I want to click on the backup to see what that is, but it's not opening up. Why not? Oh, it's because it's a linear progression I have to go through. And that is indicated to me through the affordance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. All right, and again, you have the supplemental information over here. Now, you're going to have, I'm going to call out this kind of visual aspect, this visual problem here. You have a transparent, I guess it's transparent card here with information about the new wallet. So not only is it kind of far away and should probably be placed either closer or within this realm here, but it's also a little bit harder to read against this background here. But it says select one of these freshly generated wallets. If you do not like them, click on the refresh button to generate others. Well, so the other thing here is like you have this next button, which is deactivated. The only way to get it active is to click on one of these guys. So if I click on this, I would like to see this become a state that shows that it is now active and ready to be clicked next. This is something that, of course, it won't take a user very long to figure that out, but it's like little things. You click on this all of a sudden becomes to an active state. Perhaps before you click on this, have this even more kind of opaque, or you can see that it's there, but it really, from the start that like you can't click on that quite yet. And then when you click on one of these things, it gets to a state that shows that, oh, it is now ready to be clicked next. All right, so I've selected this wallet. I'm going to click next. And now we're going to get to the backup, which by far and large is my favorite aspect of this wallet setup, is getting users to write down their passphrase. ARC did a great job at the beginning of the wallet saying, hey, people, you're responsible for this stuff. Which is great. You need to inform them. And I would even say that here you should have something, maybe not completely written out, but something in here that says for more information about how this works, so a user could click on and be like, okay, this is what I need to do with these things. This is very important. You don't want to have to make your interface too convoluted with repeated information about the importance of safety, but you do need to inform users somehow, those users who aren't used to it, because once you go through it once and you know how important it is, I remember in one of my graduate classes when I was getting my master's, like my professor told us a story about how he was in some sort of sports car and he could not figure out how to get out of it. Like they couldn't find the door handle. It took him a while to find it, but once he found it, like he was out, and he'll never have that problem again. But from a design standpoint, what if that car was on fire? You know, what if he had gotten into an accident and couldn't figure out how to get out of the door in the time that, you know, is most crucial to his survival? You know, little things like that, though once learned, you know, you're not going to make that mistake again or have a problem again. But, you know, say you don't want a user to have to learn the hard way about not writing things down. Sorry for the tangent, but little tidbit there. Okay, so when we're backing up the wallet here, we got to copy this information down. Be sure to save your passphrase securely. Do not show this passphrase to anyone. So what you have here is this action button here, copy to clipboard, which I'm interested in what it copies here. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to open up my notes because I want to see how it pastes it down. Okay, so when it pastes these words down, again, I'm not going to spend time censoring this stuff because I really, you know, I don't want to, it's important to see this. It does not paste them down with the numbers next to them. And so I think that this is another little usability thing or a little thing that could be done to improve the experience for users. It's like making sure that if you are to paste this down, it pastes them down with the numbers next to them. It's in the order, right? Like, at least I think it is. Appear, armed, high, 3. Let's make sure that's the right one. Appear, armed, high, 3. Okay, so it's in the right order, but it would be nice if they got pasted in here with numbers next to them. And the reason I say that is people should, when they copy them down, which they should be doing manually, should write that down as well. Because in the next step for verification, it's going to ask you what is word number 1, what is word number 3, what is word number 12, yada, yada, yada. Now, I expected that to happen when I went through this the first time, and that's because I've done this before. However, someone who has not done it before may not understand that that's the way that it works and might copy these words down without putting the numbers next to it, and then, you know, shit, I've written them down the wrong order. I don't know which word was 3 or 4 or 5 yet, you know, what order they were in. I do know that you're able to go back with this particular wallet and check it out again, which is great, so you have the ability to kind of recover from that error. But again, making it so that people do it the right way the first time would be fantastic. So what I want to do, even though I'm never going to use this wallet again, I'm going to do it because it's good form, is to write down these words on an index card, which I would, in theory, put in a safe place so that if I ever need to recover my wallet, I would have them here. I like index cards. I have so many of them now stuffed in a safe. They're great for getting this kind of information down in a kind of standardized way. So appear, armed, high, 3, tuna, fringe, picture, cereal, hawk, hold, sunset, power. And this is for the ARC wallet. So for those of you who might be watching this to learn about how to do this stuff, again, I'll give you more of a close-up. This is what I do for most of my index cards when I create new wallets, is I just write down my passphrases here, and then usually I'll also make a copy of this, so I'll have 2, and then I'll keep them in a safe spot. you know, they give you this option to copy here, so you can copy the clipboard and paste it someplace. But of course, like, you're not. I mean, you can, if you keep it. It's suggested that if you do it digitally, you keep it in an encrypted, like, flash drive or something. So I like the fact that you have the copy to clipboard, because if someone is going to put it into a encrypted file, you are saving them time. I'm going on a little tangent here, but from my decade of working in user experience, doing usability design, usability testing, and user research, I really chalk user experience up to really designing the path of least resistance between a user and the objective that they're trying to accomplish. And so if the objective the user here is trying to accomplish is getting this information into an encrypted flash drive, having that copy to clipboard cuts down on them being like, fuck, I gotta write these things down into some sort of text file that I'm then going to save. It just makes it easier for them to do it. So, you know, a path of least resistance there if your end goal is to, you know, put it onto an encrypted wallet. Now, that all opens up, you know, a small can of worms, because you could then say to yourself, well, what if the person uses this to copy it into their notes like I did, allowing, you know, it to be kind of exposed to other vulnerabilities. But again, I'm not going to be using this wallet, so I don't care if people see these things. All right, so we're going on to the next here. I've copied this stuff down to my thing. Verification, click the entire passphrase. Check the entire passphrase. Verify each passphrase word. So this is one of the things that I really liked about the wallet here, is that in the verification, you know, you have this kind of thing, that a safety net that makes sure that you copy this stuff down, right? You see this in a lot of wallets, you know, whether it's the you know, the Ledger, Nano, a lot of other wallets that have dealt with this, you know, there's some sort of checking mechanism to make sure that you copy these words down. Here you can either put in all the words, or they ask you for just a small sample of them. So we'll just do the small sample. And here's the best part. You click on this, it gives you a bunch of words that you can choose from. So again, if creating a good user experience is providing a user with a path of least resistance, the ability to identify their target, what is it? They want the third word, which is 1, 2, 3, hi, clicking on that, that really saves time for me having to like type that in. 6 words. 6 word is fringe. Fringe is there. Boom. Right. So less manual work on the user, less possible, you know, error. I'm not going to type fringe in incorrectly, spell it wrong or something. Also, this automatic jump to the next one, you know, again, saving users time. You don't have to click over to it. So this has a really nice flow to it, and I really, you know, give a thumbs up to the ARC team and whoever designed this. Good job. So 9th word is hawk. Boom. All right, next. So this confused me a little bit the first time through. I got what it was asking me. You're entering a password you would like to use in order to encrypt your passphrase. So essentially you have this password that now stands as the security mechanism to access your passphrase. But what got me a little bit confused was this warning here. Warning, storing your passphrase can bring risks. I'm not sure what that meant. Is it saying that it's storing the passphrase somewhere within this wallet and therefore it has risks? I'm not really sure. I can hit next here and go back to confirmation, get to the 5th thing, confirmation, or go back to it. I'm just not sure exactly what this means. So I would suggest to the ARC team, like, maybe give a little bit more explanation of what do you mean by storing your passphrase can bring risks. Basically saying, you could say, you know, warning, by adding a password, the wallet will now store your passphrase under that password, therefore, you know, bringing on a risk. This is a little bit more clarity, because that's my assumption of what's going on here. I'm going to set a password simply because I do like the way that they did this as well. Password is optional. As I start typing it in, what I really like is the fact that you have this visual feedback about whether or not the password is going to be accepted or not, and it also gives you more information. Your password must be at least 8 characters long, and I also know that it needs to include a certain number of a certain character combination, like a number and what are they called? Something character. I'll find out in a second. So I really like that kind of feedback here. So we'll just call this test 1, 2, 3 pound. Now, one thing, if I remember correctly, let's try doing, it needs to be 8 characters long. So test 1, 2, 4. Yeah, see now when I type in 8 characters, I've met that requirement, a new one comes up. Your password must contain at least 1 number. So now I'm going to put in a number 2, and now it says your password must contain at least 1 special character. So though I don't think this is a huge problem, again, if you could provide maybe, I don't think this is a huge problem, but one thought is like maybe providing all of these password specs up front so that a user doesn't have to be like, oh, go back and change it. Because perhaps some users are going to be reusing passwords that they used before. Not a great idea, but people do it. And so if they know up front whether or not one's going to work or not, it's going to save them time. So let me go back to test 1, 2, 3, 4 pound. Now, obviously that's been accepted. I go on to the next one here and test. And I like this red feedback here saying, hey, it doesn't match quite yet. 1, 2, 3, 4 pound. All right, so now I get this great thing. It's this great feedback here, or visual affordance, as we call it, kind of saying that like these things match, you're good to go. Go ahead and hit next. All right, confirmation, wallet name. So here, what someone might not understand is the idea that you can have multiple wallets within this wallet. And so understand that the reasoning behind having to name a wallet might not be immediately understood to some people, but we'll go ahead here and call this wallet 1 and done. Encrypting wallet with password. All right, so there's a few other things in here that I want to talk about real quick before I call it quits on this. One, when you're dealing with wallet transactions, the ability to do what I see as normally 3 basic things: the ability to send, the ability to receive, and in some wallets, the ability to request, meaning I want you to send me a specified amount of cryptocurrency to my wallet. And these can be done with, I think they're called URIs, where you can give a link to somebody and they click on it and it pre-fills their wallet with the appropriate wallet address as well as the amount that needs to be sent to them. The reason I bring this up is that I don't find that, this is nice navigation up here, but I think that it could be done in a way that's a little bit more conducive to these basic transaction types. Anyone that's dealt with this before knows that, okay, if I want somebody to send me cryptocurrency, if I want to send myself cryptocurrency, I need this. Great, you have the ability to copy to clipboard. Fantastic. Again, that goes to that whole making it easy to get information that you need to move someplace else. You don't want people to have to manually type this stuff in, so because it increases the chance of possibly typing in a wrong wallet address and losing funds that way. So the ability to copy it to your clipboard and then move it to another location to be used is fantastic. So what I would do, I might go to an exchange and go purchase ARC, and then I would want to send it to my wallet. So I would copy this. I would then, if I was doing it on this computer, be able to paste it in. However, if I was doing it on another computer, because this is something that some people might be doing, they have a wallet in one place and they're trying to do something on another computer, is I would have to send that information to my other computer so then I could copy and paste it into the wallet that I'm sending from. And so they do have what I would like to see here is perhaps the ability to send information directly from here, like opening up your email or opening up messages. Maybe this really has to do more with a mobile device. I think this is more important on a mobile device. Like if you have this on a mobile wallet, the ability to copy and send that information easily, because if you're on your phone and you need to get that to your computer so that you can plug it into your exchange, being able to send that information by opening up your iMessages I'm speaking about this from the perspective of an iOS user, but there's comparable things with Android as well. But this is the ability to open up options so that you can send this information to some place so that it can get there more easily. Path of least resistance. Anyways, so you have the ability to copy the address here, then sends over here. The QR code, which is the scannable variation of this address, is over here. So you got like information a little bit separated. So perhaps this being over here might be a little bit better of a position to have it in. Maybe just having all things relating to the movement of funds within the same kind of navigational structure. Like information, similar things are grouped together. I'm not saying this is terrible, just things that are coming to mind. All right, so then you have these other options here. Wallet name, registered. So these allow you to edit stuff, registered delegate. Yeah, I don't know what this means. Keeping that you cannot change the name of your delegate after the registration has been registered on the blockchain. All right, so how do you know who your delegate's name is? Does that go back to that step that we had gone through previously that I was talking to? Again, this is something that's a little bit beyond me. I've never really gone through this before, so I'm not sure what the right thing to do here is. And I would love for the ARC team, and I'd be glad to help them if they wanted, to design a flow that allows you to set up this delegate in a very similar way that we set up the other things. So I really did like that flow that they had going on. All right, let's close that back up. So maybe these are the delegates you get to choose from, so you would want to copy these names and put it, into that modal that I was looking at a moment ago. One other thing two other things. I want to talk about the purchase of ARC. I really like the idea that you're able to purchase directly within a wallet. That's another thing that I think saves a lot of time. Not having to go out to an exchange and buying the currency and sending it to your wallet. You're able to do it directly within the wallet. Awesome. The first time through, I did not understand what this meant at all. Verify your wallet. I opened up these things. I started typing stuff in, but I don't quite understand what that is. So perhaps having a bit more information as to what this is all about. So if it's really important, making sure that users understand what this is and so they can fill it out the right way. All right. With that said, I think I went through a great deal of this. Again, if I haven't said it enough already, I really like the flows that ARC has come up with. I think that they need to pay a little bit more attention to explaining to people how the delegate works and how that gets set up, and that though it is a delegated proof of stake consensus mechanism, there is a possibility to earn rewards by having your delegate sending them to you. That is not necessarily conveyed very well in here. And again, I've been doing this for a while, and if I didn't quite understand it, someone who has not been doing this for a while would, they have even less of a chance of kind of like coming to that understanding. All right, yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the cameras, and I hope that this has been helpful.